Heartwarming moment, Waitress daughter discovers incredible connection with Japanese millionaire. In the quaint little town of Maplewood, the Hart home diner buzzed with life, rich aromas of coffee dancing through the air. Sarah, a hard-working waitress in her mid-30s, wore her determination like her trusty apron, frayed at the edges but full of love and memories. She poured steaming mugs for regulars who shared stories of their lives, all while carefully managing the chaos of orders, checking in on her spirited 16-year-old daughter, Mia, who was as vibrant as the diner's red and white checked tablecloths. Mia, with her sparkling blue eyes and contagious smile, spent her afternoons buzzing around the diner, dreaming big. The two shared a close bond, filled with inside jokes and heartfelt secrets, and though their life was a constant tussle with overflowing bills, Sarah instilled a sense of resilience in Mia. "Hard work is what builds our future," Sarah would say, emerald eyes shining with hope, but that Wednesday, a jet-setting twist would change everything. As the morning sunlight filtered through the diner windows, Hiroshi, a wealthy businessman from Japan, stepped into the Hart home. With a bemused expression, he examined the menu, his accent thick yet endearing. Mia, as if drawn by fate, approached him with a plate of pancakes, her laughter light, bridging worlds that felt worlds apart. A magnetic bond formed, an inexplicable connection, and the diner seemed to echo their joy, resonating with laughter. "Do you say yum in Japan?" Mia grinned, balancing a plate of fluffy pancakes. Hiroshi chuckled, and their banter infused the room with a warmth that only possibilities could bring. "We say oishi," he replied, their conversation flowing like the syrup on his pancakes. It was magical, like watching two stars collide in a vast universe filled with doubt and uncertainty. However, their budding friendship didn't go unnoticed. Whispers began to ripple through the diner like whispers of a brewing storm. "What does a rich man want with our kind?" The murmurs echoed Sarah's fears, her heart constricting in her chest. She felt the weight of community judgment on her shoulders, a tug-of-war between concern for her daughter and the dreams she saw sparkling in Mia's eyes. "Mama, it's just a friendship," Mia would plead, but the undercurrent of resentment made her uneasy. Hiroshi's invitation to Japan felt like a golden ticket to a world beyond their cramped kitchen and mounting bills, but it tore at Sarah's heart. "You don't understand the kind of life he lives, Mia. This isn't who we are." Every word felt both heavy and true, a balancing act between maternal instincts and the delicate needs of a growing girl chasing her dreams, and then came the moment of great impact. One quiet evening, with the sun setting behind Maplewood's quaint streets, Hiroshi finally asked, "Will you come visit Japan with me?" Mia's heart raced with excitement, but Sarah's response hovered over them like a dark cloud. Words hardened into steely resolve. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Mia stood at a crossroads, her dreams flickering like the neon diner sign outside. Would she honor her mother's sacrifices, or dare to step into an unknown world? The air thickened with expectancy, both in the Hart home and the hearts within it. Just then, the diner door swung open once more, and an unexpected figure stepped through, igniting tension, and igniting doubts. What did they know that could change everything? In that fragile moment, the tides were turning. And the web of dreams, desires, and loyalties began to shimmer and shake, leaving everyone to ponder what truly brings us together, blood or ambition. The diner door creaked open, and an air of uncertainty swept in, accompanied by the familiar aroma of food and warmth. It was Lily, the town gossip, her expression a mix of curiosity and mischief. She stood there, taking in every ounce of the scene, the vibrant exchanges between Mia and Hiroshi, the crowded diner, and the devotion of a mother woven through it all. "Excuse me," Lily called out, her voice sharper than the clinks of cutlery. What's this I hear about a dinner invitation to Japan? Mia's heart sank for a moment. She hadn't expected Lily to show up today. With a growing crowd, the diner felt smaller, and she could sense a shift in energy. The laughter dulled, replaced by curious eyes and suspicious whispers. Lily's just joking, right? Mia thought, though the tightening in her stomach said otherwise. No joke, Hiroshi replied, his tone calm but confident. I've invited Mia to experience my home and culture. The murmurs floated around them like leaves caught in a breeze. Cultural exchange or just another wealthy man's whim? A few older patrons exchanged glances, their skepticism palpable. Sarah's heart raced as she stepped forward, unwilling to let Mia drown in gossip. Why do you always have to meddle, Lily? Sarah said, her voice steady yet strained. This is Mia's decision, not yours. Lily simply shrugged, her eyes sparkling with justifiable intrigue. It's a big world out there, Sarah. Just make sure she knows what she's getting into. Mia, feeling the weight of everyone's eyes, stood taller, a sudden fire igniting in her chest. I can handle it, Mom. Hiroshi is kind, and he's not like what people are saying. Her defenses rose, yearning for her mother to understand. This could be something amazing for me. I know, sweetie, Sarah replied, her voice softening, the divide between them palpable. But amazing can also come with peril. Our lives here are safe. I only worry about you getting hurt. The conversation hung in the air, a standoff between comfort and the allure of the unknown. Mia's blue eyes sparkled with determination as she stepped towards Hiroshi, their connection igniting something bold within her spirit. Can you give me a moment, please? She asked, turning toward Hiroshi and then back to her mother. With a nod, Hiroshi respected her request. Meanwhile, Sarah's heart sank deeper. The moment felt pivotal, yet terrifying. Behind the counter, Daisy, the other waitress, watched with bated breath, sensing the emotional currents winding through the diner. You've got this, Mia. She called out, her voice a buoy of support in the storm of tension. Mia took a deep breath, pushing past her fears, searching for the right words. I love this place, and I love what we have. But I want to explore. I want to know what else is out there. Please, can you trust me? Tears shone in Sarah's emerald eyes, but defiance ignited in her daughter's spirit. The walls of fear seemed to inch higher, but at that moment, something shifted within Sarah. She recognized the glimmer of possibilities in Mia's dreams, the very same ember that drove her every day at the diner. The room fell silent as mother and daughter locked eyes, a universe of unspoken thoughts passing between them. Just as it felt they'd reach an understanding, the door swung open again. This time, it was not just another customer, it was someone who knew Sarah well, a familiar face from her past, an unexpected visitor who could change everything once more. Sarah? The voice called, slicing through the tension like a knife. I need to talk to you. Mia's heart trembled with anticipation and dread. What now could unravel the fragile balance they teetered on? Questions swirled in the air as the truth seemed just out of reach, promising to explode the world they knew into a new reality. Mia's breath caught in her throat as she turned to the door. It felt as if the earth had shifted beneath her, and the weight of uncertainty settled like a stone. Her heart raced, echoing in her ears as she searched for the face attached to the voice. James? Sarah's tone shifted, surprise rendering her voice raw. Mia watched her mother's expression transform, a mix of confusion and something darker. The man stepped forward, a hint of hesitation in his movements. James had been a figure from stories whispered late at night, a chapter of Sarah's youth Mia barely understood. The diner seemed to hold its breath, the clinking utensils and murmured conversations fading into a distant hum. Why are you here? Sarah's voice trembled slightly, a note of both apprehension and curiosity cutting through the silence. I needed to find you, he said, his eyes searching her face, hope and regret intertwined. It's been too long, Sarah. Mia felt a rush of emotions. She had grown up with fragments of this man in her mind, tales of young love interrupted by life's complications. But seeing him now, the man before her bore the weight of years that stories hadn't captured. Mia, Sarah's voice softened, breaking the moment's intensity as she turned to her daughter. I didn't expect this. Not now. Mia glanced between them, her fingers fidgeting with a napkin on the counter. What does he want? She thought, uncertainty coursing through her veins. Did this man hold answers, or did he carry the shadows of unresolved past? I didn't realize I'd be walking into a family matter, James began, glancing at Mia before fixing his gaze on Sarah. But there are things we need to talk about, things I maybe should have said a long time ago. The weight of those words hung in the air, heavy and thick. Around them, the diner patrons exchanged glances, an audience to the unfolding drama. You don't have to do this here, Sarah replied, her voice strained but firm. Not in front of her. But in her eyes, there was a flicker of something, an invitation, a curiosity mingled with fear. I should have reached out sooner, James continued, the earnestness in his tone begging to be heard. I'm here because of you. I observed from afar about your daughter. You raised her beautifully. Mia's heart twisted. His compliment felt like an intrusion. What does he know about me? She thought, resentment creeping in. She barely believed in her own dreams, let alone what this stranger had seen. Sarah's voice drew her back, but her mother was now filled with contradictions. Do you want to hear him out, Mia? Mia hesitated, uncertainty crashing within her like waves on rocky shores. Was this a moment of truth, or just another complication added to her tension-laden world? She looked at Hiroshi, standing quietly beside her, his expression unreadable. Maybe you should listen, he murmured, breaking the silence that had enveloped them. Mia felt torn. Should she encourage her mother to confront their past, or should they face a future that might involve a trip across the world even if it meant leaving everything behind? Please, James prompted, his voice almost pleading. I want to connect. For both of you. As Mia stood there, caught in the vortex of emotions swirling about her, the diner's warmth faded, replaced by a chill of uncertainty. Would this unexpected visitor reshape everything she thought she knew? Would the secrets hidden in her mother's past redefine their future together? The questions lingered, heavy and unyielding as she felt the world around her shift yet again. And in that moment, she realized more than just a conversation was brewing, it was the possibility of a whole new life unfolding before her. Maybe it's time we faced the truth, Mia whispered, her pulse quickening. But as she spoke, she couldn't shake the feeling that whatever lay ahead had the power to change everything. Mia's heart raced, thrumming against her ribcage as the words hung in the heavy air. Maybe it's time we faced the truth. She barely recognized her own voice, steeped in a mix of trepidation and a flicker of hope. Sarah's gaze darted between James and Mia, her brow furrowed with the weight of the past colliding with the present. The diner around them buzzed with life, but in that moment, it felt like they were suspended in their own bubble of fear and expectation. What truth? Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. James took a step closer, his eyes filled with intensity. There are things about our history, about you, Sarah. Things I never had the courage to say. But Mia deserves to know. We all deserve to move forward. Mia felt the air thicken with tension. What could he possibly say that would change everything she believed? She could sense her mother's walls rising, but beneath them, fear mingled with curiosity. Is this about me? Mia asked, her voice sharper than she intended. The idea that James might have insights or revelation about her life, her ambitions, felt too surreal. James hesitated, searching for the right words. It's about you, yes. But it's also about me and your mother. There's a piece of this story you haven't heard, and it's time. As he spoke, Memories flooded Mia's mind, bits and pieces not of James but of the stories Sarah had spun like delicate threads. The young man with dreams, a heart full of love, but lost to circumstance. Was that really who he was? Do you even have the right to speak to us after all this time? Sarah's words cracked slightly, betraying her steely facade. You left. James flinched, his expression a mosaic of regret. I know I hurt you both. I can't change the past. But I've spent years wishing I could have it back. I became someone better, hoping one day. He swallowed hard, the vulnerability raw on his face. I hoped I could come back and make things right. Mia's heart twisted. The depth of James's gaze pulled at something deep within her, some yearning for connection, for answers. But at what cost? Her mother seemed just as torn. I don't even know if Sarah began, her voice thick as she wrapped her arms around herself, as if trying to ward off the vulnerability creeping in. Mama, you don't have to if you don't want to, Mia interjected gently. She felt the weight of the moment press down on her, both heavy and light. But what if this is the closure we need? Sarah's eyes met Mia's, a multitude of emotions flickering across her face: fear, trepidation, hope. I just don't know if I can relive that. The diner's background chatter faded into a hush as Mia squared her shoulders. Maybe it's better to face what's hidden than let it hang over us forever. The idea of uncertainty, of moving forward without knowing the truth, felt exhausting. Please, just hear me out, James said, his voice low but unwavering. I want to share my side. I owe it to both of you. The flicker of curiosity in Sarah's eyes spoke volumes. Mia sensed a shifting tide, the pull of the past threatening to tip them into an uncharted ocean. As they stood in that diner, surrounded by strangers, the walls began to tremble. Who were they now? A mother, a daughter, and the ghost of a past lover. What would be unearthed if they began to peel back the layers? Mia felt a wave of urgency wash over her. Was it fear or excitement? Whichever it was, it drew her closer to the forefront of the moment. They were on the precipice of understanding, and yet the abyss still loomed before them. And as James drew a deep breath, preparing to break the silence, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that no matter what happened, none of this would ever be the same again. What secrets would be revealed? Would the truth bind them together, or shatter everything they thought they knew? James opened his mouth, the weight of his intentions heavy in the air, like a storm cloud ready to burst. Before Mia was born he hesitated, his voice thick with unspilled emotion. Before any of this, your life, your dreams, Sarah, we were faced with choices. Choices that still haunt me. Mia leaned in closer, the urgency in her heart's about to burst. The chatter of the diner faded into the background, replaced by the pounding of her pulse. She noticed the way Sarah's fingers trembled against the table, clenching and unclenching as if she were fighting against a tide that threatened to pull her under. What choices? Sarah's voice carried a tremor, as if the very fabric of her being hung on his words. James drew in a deep breath. We were young, and life was pushing us along different paths. I made a decision that I thought was best for everyone, but it wasn't. I left, thinking it would protect you both. He looked at Sarah, and there was a flicker of something warm mingled with the pain in his gaze. But it only caused more hurt. I shouldn't have chosen that path. A silence rippled through their little circle, charged with unspoken words. Mia watched as her mother's face transformed in an instant, the hard lines of disappointment softening into perplexity, and then, slowly, something that resembled understanding. What do you mean protect us? Mia pressed, leaning forward as if to urge the truth out of him, as if she could mold the words into some sort of salvation. James turned his eyes to her, their depth seemed to pull at her very soul. There was a time when I thought of leaving. It was about what I couldn't provide, what I couldn't give, not just to you, but to Sarah as well. I was scared, and when I thought about the future, I was overwhelmed. I thought it was best for you if I stepped away before my failures could taint your lives. Mia blinked, the truth washing over her like rain. each drop mingling with her fears and her hopes. But it left her feeling more confused than relieved. "You left us because of your failures?" James nodded, his eyes pleading for understanding. "I thought I could find my footing, build a life worth coming back to. I thought it would take time, but the years slipped away. I regret that choice every single day." Sarah's breath hitched, the mask she wore cracking just a little. "Did you ever want to come back?" "More than anything. I wanted to fix the wrongs I created, to see you both and be a father." His voice broke then, trembling with honesty. "I dreamed of a different ending." Pain radiated through Mia, a shard of glass wedged deep within her heart. She turned to her mother, searching her face for the pieces of the story yet untold. "Mama, is that how you felt? Did this hurt you too?" Sarah's lips parted, caught in the crossfire between the love for her daughter and the unresolved trauma that haunted her. "It was more than hurt, Mia. It was a loss, a grief I carried alone, thinking I had to be strong." But hearing this, her voice wavered, tearing at the seams of her stoicism. "I never imagined Mia realized they were moments away from connection but held back by the scars they bore. What if we could begin to understand? What if we could make this right?" James reached out, a hesitant hand towards Sarah, a bridge slowly forming. She caught his gaze, and for the first time in so long, the walls began to lower, brick by painful brick. "If we talk about it, if we face what happened," Sarah whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. "Can we truly find closure?" "Yes," James breathed, hope threading through his voice, "if you let me try." Mia watched the shifting emotions flicker between them, the rawness pulling at her heartstrings. Would this moment forge something beautiful or tear them apart even more? As they sat in that diner, bathed in the glow of the morning sun that filtered through the window, Mia felt the tremors of change ripple in the air. "Maybe it's time," she started, sensing the final frontier of their past lay just at their fingertips. "Maybe it's time we start anew." But as she spoke, a doubt threaded through Mia's mind. Could they really rewrite their story? Or was this just the beginning of another heartbreak waiting to unfold? The silence hung heavy in the air, a fragile moment ripe with possibility. Mia could feel the weight of her parents' unspoken fears, the echoes of choice and regret swirling around them like ghosts. James' hand hovered just inches from Sarah's, a tender offering. As if sensing the new energy, the waitress who had been attending them walked over, her notepad tucked under her arm, a concerned frown creasing her brow. "Is everything okay here?" she asked gently, peering at their serious faces. Mia smiled, despite the heaviness in her heart. "Yeah, we're good, just catching up." Her words hung in the air, a plea for understanding that seemed to wrap around the table like an embrace. The waitress nodded, sensing the delicate atmosphere, and retreated to give them space, but not before throwing a glance of reassurance to Mia. Each small action felt monumental, a step toward healing that both scared and excited her. James cleared his throat, the moment's gravity falling on him once more. "I know it won't be easy. It never is. But I want to share everything. I want you both to understand who I am now, not the person I was back then." "And who are you now?" Sarah asked softly, the softness of her voice laced with a hint of challenge. James looked deep into her eyes, his voice low and steady. "I'm still a work in progress. I've faced my demons, but there's so much about myself that I'm learning every day." Mia watched her mother, the flicker of emotion she often masked bubbling just below the surface. "What do you want us to know, Dad?" she asked, her voice breaking the intensity. "What changed?" James hesitated, the shadows of the past dancing behind his eyes. "I realized that running didn't solve anything. I thought leaving would protect you from my failings. But it turned out that absence itself created a hole that could never be filled." A lump formed in Mia's throat. His honesty pulled at her heart, forging a connection she had longed for yet feared. "We're here now, though. We can talk about it. No more hiding." Sarah placed her hand on James, her fingers grazing his. "If you want this to work, it has to be real, James. Raw. There's no more pretending." The words seemed to hang in the air, igniting a fire within Mia. She saw the flicker of hope in her mother's eyes, a longing for something beautiful buried beneath years of hurt. Drawing a deep breath, she said, "Let us share everything starting from the day you left. I need to know how we got here and how we can move forward." James nodded, the resolve tightening his jaw. "All right. From the beginning, then. I'll tell you everything." With that, he settled back into the booth, his expression shifting to one of vulnerability. The sun poured through the window, casting a soft glow over them, illuminating their path forward. But as James opened his mouth to speak, a little more than fear clawed its way into Mia's mind. Would the weight of the truth be too heavy to carry? Would it shatter the fragile connection they were beginning to form? She felt a chill run down her spine, a reminder of the past that still lingered. Did they really know where this journey would lead? As he began to recount the fateful day he left, Mia could only wonder, was she ready for the hard truths that might come crashing down around them? James took a deep breath, as if he were about to plunge into icy water. "The day I left was raw and chaotic," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "I had just lost my job, and everything felt like it was crashing down on me. I didn't know how to be a father, let alone a husband, when I couldn't even take care of myself." Mia's heart sank. She had always thought her father left because of their family, because of them. But here he was, standing on the edge of his past, revealing a man who was scared and lost. "I remember packing my things in a frenzy," James continued, his eyes staring off into a dreamlike space. "I can still see your mother's face, furious and heartbreakingly hurt. I thought I was protecting you both by leaving. I didn't want my failures to weigh you down, but I see now that absence only deepened the wound." Sarah squeezed his hand, her eyes glistening with tears. "You think you were protecting us? You don't realize how your absence broke our family apart. The silence you left behind was louder than you can imagine." James nodded, absorbing the weight of her words. "I see that now. I thought I could spare you the pain of watching me fall apart. But I ran away from you when I should have fought for us. It was cowardice, plain and simple." Mia felt a knot tightening in her chest. She wanted to forgive him, but the echoes of their shared history rang loudly in her mind. "What did you do after you left?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I spiraled," he admitted, shame creeping into his voice. "I moved to a different town, tried to start over. But no matter where I went, the guilt followed me. I spent years trying to drown it in work, in bar after bar, and it nearly killed me." Mia's stomach turned. She could picture him, alone and lost in a world that had once felt so close and familiar. "You had a new life, though. New friends. Temporary distractions. I was still alone, Mia." He locked his gaze with hers, his eyes brimming with regret. "It wasn't until I hit rock bottom that I realized what I really lost. I woke up one day and saw I was on the brink of losing everything again." A chilling silence enveloped them, punctuated only by the soft hum of the cafe. Mia felt the tears welling up. Her father's struggles intertwined with her own. She had faced moments in her life when everything felt too heavy, too bleak. "Did you ever think about coming back?" Mia ventured, searching for the flicker of hope they desperately needed. "Every day," he admitted, his voice cracking. "I thought about you both, about what I could have done differently. Each time I tried to get the courage to reach out, I was paralyzed by fear. Fear of facing the hurt I caused." James's honesty was raw, and it resonated with a truth Mia needed to hear. But it also scared her. She wondered if this path they were walking would lead to more hurt. "And what now? What do you want from us?" Sarah's voice broke through the tension. "I want to make amends," James said, desperation mingling with a sense of resolve. "I want to be part of your lives again, if you'll have me." But I know I need to earn it. And I need you to be honest with me, just like I'm trying to be now." Mia's heart raced. This was a fork in the road, and she sensed that the path ahead was unknown and fraught with challenges. But in that moment, amidst a swirl of emotions, anger, sadness, and a flicker of hope, she knew they had a choice to make. "Can we really build something new?" Mia asked, her voice shaking but hopeful. James's eyes shone, reflecting the promise of reconciliation. "We can only try." As the weight of those words settled over the table, Mia felt a surge of warmth but also fear. What if trying wasn't enough? What if the journey would uncover new pains? Suddenly, she caught sight of a reflection in the cafe window, a figure standing outside, watching them intently. This person felt eerily familiar, a shadow that didn't belong. As the figure turned and walked away, Mia's heart raced, the moment curling with unease. Who were they, and what did they want from her family? Would this new chapter bring more than just painful revelations? Mia's thoughts spiraled, her heart pounding in her chest. The figure had vanished, but the sense of being watched lingered like a chill in the air. She glanced around the cafe, the familiar buzz of chatter now feeling distant and muted. Her focus returned to her father, still trying to piece together their fractured relationship, but the feeling of dread gnawed at her. "Are you okay?" Sarah's voice broke through her turbulent thoughts. I saw someone," Mia admitted, her voice trembling. "Outside, just a moment ago. They looked like they were watching us." James's brow furrowed in concern. "What do you mean? Who? Was it someone you knew?" "I don't know," she replied, shaking her head. "It just felt familiar, like a shadow from the past. It's not someone I can put a name to, but it was unsettling." She felt vulnerability wrap around her like a thick fog. Sarah shifted in her seat, her fingers fidgeting with the napkin. "Do you think it's someone from your childhood? Maybe a friend or an old neighbor?" Mia's thoughts wandered back to their old neighborhood. Faces danced in her mind, mostly happy memories intertwined with bitter ones. But nothing stood out, nothing that could explain this moment. "I can't place it. It's just a feeling. I can't shake it." James leaned in, his voice low. "If it's bothering you, we should look into it. I know things are complicated, but we're trying to rebuild here. Don't let fear hold you back." There was something tender yet firm in his gaze. Mia felt a flicker of solidarity in facing their fears together. "You're right," she said, her voice gaining a sense of resolution. "But right now, let us focus on what's in front of us." Reluctantly, she returned her focus to their conversation, but the weight of the unknown still lingered. Maybe they could build something from the ashes of the past, but doubt tugged at her heart. Outside, the world moved on, while they remained rooted in this fragile moment. "Tell us more about your life since you've been gone," Sarah prompted, eager to continue this newfound dialogue. "What else did you learn about yourself?" James took a moment, gathering his thoughts. "After hitting rock bottom, I made a choice. A choice to get help, to confront my demons. Therapy became my lifeline. I learned not just to acknowledge my failures but to understand them. To grow from them." His eyes sparkled with determination, each word dripping with raw emotion. Mia admired that strength but also felt a pang of resentment. Could it really be that easy? But it took you so long to realize all of this. What if we were beyond repair? James leaned back, a shadow crossing his face. "I know I can't change the past. I can't erase the hurt I caused. But I'm here now, and I plan to fight for us. We can reshape this family, starting now." Just then, the bell above the cafe door chimed cheerfully, bringing a gust of cold air with it. Mia turned to see the door swing open, and there stood the same figure from earlier, eyes locked onto hers. A wave of recognition washed over her, bearing an emotion she couldn't quite capture. The world faded around her as confusion and curiosity intertwined. "Who is that?" Sarah gasped, catching the tension in the air. Mia's heart began to race again, a mix of fear and an inexplicable connection pulling her. Who was this person who stepped out of the shadows? And more importantly, what did they want? Maybe they have answers, Mia murmured, her voice barely a whisper. James and Sarah turned their attention to the stranger, each of them sensing that this was a turning point, the moment that might either tear them apart again or finally bring the missing pieces together into a new whole. As the figure took a step closer, Mia's breath caught in her throat. What would this moment reveal? Mia's pulse quickened as the figure approached. The cafe's chatter faded to a muted whisper, and her world narrowed into this singular moment. With every step, her mind raced through fragments of memories and emotions, desperately trying to connect the dots. The figure was a young woman, probably in her late 20s, dressed in a long coat that swayed gently with her movement. Dark hair framed her face, accentuating the intense set of her eyes that pierced right through the layers of Mia's confusion. As she came to a stop at the edge of their table, Mia felt an electric jolt of recognition. "Are you Mia?" the woman asked, her voice steady yet tinged with urgency. Mia nodded, unable to speak. "I'm Clara," she introduced herself, glancing at James and Sarah with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I need to talk to you." James exchanged glances with Sarah, concern evident on his face. "What is going on?" he asked, his instinct to protect Mia kicking in. Clara folded her hands, a nervous habit, as she remained standing. "It's about your family. I have something important to tell you, or rather, something you need to hear about your mother." Mia felt the air grow thick around her. Her mother. The absence that had defined so much of her life. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. With a deep breath, Clara took another step closer, her gaze unwavering. "I think I know where she is, and why she left." The words hung between them, a fragile thread of hope intertwined with anxiety. Mia felt a tidal wave of emotions crashing over her. Years of unanswered questions spiraled into a single moment. "How do you know?" she pressed, desperation clinging to her words. Clara hesitated, her eyes flickering with uncertainty. "I can explain everything, but we should go somewhere private." James stood up, protective instincts flaring. "You can't just drop that kind of information. We need to know you're telling the truth." Clara's expression softened. "I get it, I really do. But I promise, I'm not a threat. I truly want to help you understand." Mia, caught between the desire to shatter the silence that had haunted her and the instinct to retreat, finally spoke up. "What do you know about her?" "I grew up next door to her," Clara replied, each syllable laced with nostalgia and something softer. "She was pivotal in my life. When she disappeared, it broke more than just your family, it affected mine too. I've spent years trying to understand what happened." The cafe's atmosphere felt heavy with anticipation. Mia's heart raced. This could be the moment she had been waiting for, or the beginning of yet another disappointment. "Where is she?" "I can't say here," Clara insisted, glancing around the cafe as if the walls had ears. "But I'll explain everything. Just give me a chance." Mia's mind reeled. The weight of the last few years felt almost unbearable, yet here stood a mysterious figure with a connection to her past, a flicker of possibility amidst the uncertainty. "Fine," Mia finally said, her voice steadying. "Let us talk." As they moved toward the back of the cafe, Sarah sat silently, her face a mask of concern and intrigue. James followed closely, protective yet open to this unexpected turn. The door swung shut behind them, sealing off the noise and creating their own sanctuary. There was no turning back now, but what revelations lay ahead? Would the answers bring her peace or just stir the storm further? As Clara began to speak, her words wrapped around them like a fragile thread. Mia felt the beginning of something that could either break their family apart or finally pull it back together. Would the truth about her mother be the magic they needed, or the catalyst for more heartbreak? Mia sat at the small table in the back of the cafe, surrounded by the heavy air of unresolved history. Clara's presence crackled with energy, and her gaze held the promise of answers that had eluded Mia for so long. Sarah and James flanked her, each caught in their blend of hope and apprehension. Clara took a deep breath. "I remember your mother, Mia. Her dreams, her laughter, they were vibrant in our neighborhood." The way she spoke gave Mia a sense of a life filled with stories begging to be heard. "Why did she leave?" Mia asked, her voice trembling. The question lingered like an uninvited ghost, heavy on her heart. Clara's eyes shimmered with compassion. She felt trapped. Not just by life, but by the weight of expectations. "Your mom always carried a fire in her soul, but when she realized she couldn't ignite it under those circumstances, she believed leaving was her only option." Mia felt a rush of emotions, each one threatening to spill over. Did she think it was for me? I mean, did she honestly believe running away was the answer? The pang in her heart surged with each word. Clara nodded slowly. She loved you deeply, but loved herself too. She thought that maybe stepping away would allow her to find herself, become the person she always wanted to be, and eventually, be a better mother to you. But what if she never did? Mia's words cracked like glass. What if she just left me? She didn't leave you, she left herself, Clara said firmly. The choice broke her, Mia. She thought it was a fresh start, but it turned into a prison of her own making. Mia felt the layers of pain uncoil, exposing tender spaces hidden under years of resentment. Is she struggling? I can't say how her journey has been, Clara replied softly, but many years have passed, and things may not be as they were. I do know she has been searching for reconciliation. Looking for ways to make amends but feeling too lost to reach out. The world around Mia spun. All she could muster was silence, emotions crashing like waves against an endless shore. Could it be that her mother's pain mirrored her own? That both of them had been chasing ideals that felt unforgivingly out of reach? Sarah, who had been listening intently, took a gentle step forward, her eyes brimming with vulnerability. I didn't know. I know, Clara interrupted, understanding flaring in her gaze. Sarah, she was terrified of confronting the past. Both literally and emotionally. James placed a comforting hand on Sarah's shoulder, his own heart constricted with empathy. There was a new connection forming, like freshly sewn seams of understanding stitching together what once felt irreparable. Mia finally lifted her gaze from the floor, searching Clara's face. If she does want to find me, can you help? Will you guide us back to her? The plea hung in the air, heavy with desperation and yearning. Clara nodded slowly. Yes, but you must prepare yourselves. It won't be easy to dismantle years of heartache. It's a process, and each step involves more honesty than you might think. The weight of Clara's words resonated deep within Mia. Was she ready to face those truths? To ultimately lay bare her own heart, the fears that had always lurked beneath the surface? I want to try, Mia said, her voice steadying. We've come this far, it must mean something. Her mother's eyes softened, tears now rolling down her cheeks. Whatever we face, we'll do it together. It's time to show the same love and courage that founded our family. James smiled, squeezing Sarah's shoulder as he voiced their collective strength. As long as we're united, we can overcome anything, even the burdens of the past. With newfound resolve, they leaned into one another, the connection buoying them like a lifeline. As they pulled away, Clara added, we can set up a meeting between you and her. When you're ready, of course. Just say the word. Mia felt her heart thrum with excitement, but the faint shadow of doubt lingered. Would this connection heal them, or just expose further cracks? In that moment, she could see the open door to possibility, a chance to find her mother, to bridge the gap, to explore the painful terrain of truth but also the beauty of reconciliation. As they stood, the shadows lightened, each passing moment filled with the heat of change. The doors of the cafe swung open, sunlight spilling in like a promise. In that warmth, Mia felt hope prickle at her skin. Let us go home, she said, directing her gaze at both Sarah and James. Let us embrace whatever comes next. We face this as a family. With heads held high, they exited the cafe, intertwined in hope, trepidation, and the dawning of a new chapter, where love would guide them through the storm of revelations just ahead. And Lorraine, the silhouette of a once fractured mother, now stood like a beacon amidst their dreams, quietly beckoning them into the arms of possibility. This was their moment. The pursuit of connection was undeniably worth the risk. Now was the time for all of you to embrace your own possibilities. Subscribe immediately to this channel to follow our exciting journeys. Leave a like now to keep us thriving with your support. We need to hear your feelings about this ending, so comment below. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this transformation and the power of family.